Hi, everybody. Welcome to the New Jersey Titans Coaches Show. Of course, I'm with the coach, GM, head coach, Craig Doremus, Tom Willms here. Thanks so much for joining us. And Craig, thanks for taking the time.
No, thanks for having me, Tommy.
Well, we have to back up a bit since you had last weekend off, and it was a rough 3-day weekend in Maine. Bad news, record of 1-3-3 right now. The good news, all but one game was within one goal. So in spite of everything, this team really likes to battle.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we all knew this was going to be a process for us with a lot of new faces on the roster and not a ton of experience, especially in our league. So proud of the guys. I think we've talked about as a group every day. If we're not winning, we're learning and growing, and I think we've done that. Came up on the short end of the stick too often here early in the season, but I think we've made some improvements on the ice that'll help us, and we're excited to get back on the ice this weekend and see where we've risen to.
Considering the results, of course, just like a professional team, moves have to be made. You picked up some pretty key components over the last few days. I want to take the time to kind of talk about each one. First, Jake Suede, you got his rights from the Maine Nordiques, and he's a former Youngstown fan of the USHL. How has he kind of acclimated himself starting this week?
I think Jake's been really good. He brings that veteran presence, junior hockey experience, both in North American Hockey League and the United States Hockey League to our lineup, and you can see it, he likes to compete. He's brought a breath of fresh air. I think he's eager and excited to be here. He wants to get to work. I think for him, it's a new lease on life per se, and he's added a different element to our lineup there, and created a competition amongst the forward group, which I think is great. And we're excited to have him here. Again, a veteran leader who's been around, who's been through the trenches of it so far, and is really hungry to secure his college commitment role with the New Jersey Titans.
Now, you added another former member of the Youngstown Phantoms. That's Lavender Karacetas, who has international experience, which is that's got to be a lot of fun. Not only does he have international experience, he has high-level international experience with Team Hungary, playing in the World Juniors at, I believe, the B division. So having somebody with his experience certainly has to help things along as well.
Yeah, Levente's a kid who we identified last year and watched a lot throughout the season to see where he was going to shake out and pan out. A lot of good conversations with his team over the summer and over the course of free agency, as they would say. And, we're really excited to have him here. We think he's super high end and has really high ceiling to grow in the game. And obviously his frame is impressive. Not many guys who get on the ice who are 6'5" plus. But another good addition to our lineup here. He's been a breath of fresh air and a shot of energy into the lineup. I think he's fit in really well with the guys, and his skill set speaks for itself. I think, like you said, has experience playing on a bigger stage and a bigger level, and played in the U.S. last year. So I don't think he's foreign to what we're going to try to do here and communication-wise. So another really promising addition to our lineup here, and he'll make his debut this weekend, and we're excited to see what he can bring to the table.
You also pick up Josh Rule from Mount St. Charles Academy. Not much. Honestly, I don't know much about him. So what can you tell me about him?
Josh was a kid who was part of a really strong Mount St. Charles 18U program last year. We got a chance to watch him a few times in person, myself, and then obviously our scouts got to watch him quite a bit up in the New England area. One of the better 18U programs across the country, never mind here on the East Coast. And Josh had a nose for the back of the net last year. And for us right now, obviously, that's been something we've been challenged with. So he's come in here, competed, a little bit more rusty, coming off some surgery in the summer. So we're excited to see what he can bring to the table once he gets his legs under us. But again, another new face in the lineup, and create some competition amongst the forward group.
Now, finally, as I set up the camera for today's meeting, you pick up somebody else, Anthony Malika, who has not only USHL experience with the Lincoln Stars, but has played with the Maryland Black Bears as well. So has to be exciting to get somebody who's very familiar with the division and has played at a good level.
Yeah, absolutely. Anthony is a kid who we were familiar with, obviously, last year from playing against Maryland and then tracking his progress through the United States Hockey League throughout last year and the early parts of camp this year. Big right-handed shot, powerful kid, powerful player, great locker room addition to our team. We've heard nothing but great things about him from teammates who have been with him and coaches who have worked with him. So, again, for us, comes in, stabilizes the blue line, a big part of what we're trying to do back there, brings a veteran presence, and I think we're excited to welcome him in. And not to step ahead here too, but speaking of recent additions, we also added Caleb Price today from the Youngstown Phantoms as well. And Caleb brings same thing. He's played in the North American League with the Jamestown Rebels prior to going to the United States Hockey League last year with the Lincoln Stars and the Youngstown Phantoms. And we were able to acquire him late last night. So a lot of new faces to the lineup here, both up front and on the back end. And we're excited to see all those guys make their debuts this weekend and hopefully help us find the win column.
I find it very interesting that once one or two guys from one organization move to a team like the Titans, it seems that it's kind of turns into a bit of a flood, kind of like a pipeline. Is that something that is among the normal in the North American Hockey League?
I mean, for us, it hasn't been typical. The staff and I have joked. We've really prided ourselves on not having a lot of roster turnover in years past. However, I think the one thing we've talked about in this organization is accountability and owning things. And when the players make mistakes and they don't do a good job, we want them to own them. And I think for me as a general manager, I have to own the fact that our team wasn't good enough to start the season. And at the end of the day, everyone wants to develop and get better, but it's a performance-based industry. And if you're not winning hockey games, there's a lot of people not getting the job done. And it starts at the top with myself. And I wanted to make sure we addressed it and put some fresh blood into the lineup and guys who I think can help be part of a winning culture here. So change was necessary. It falls back on me and me alone. And I wanted to make sure that we could do whatever we could to get some pieces in here to help us and find the win column again. And hopefully we can get back to the successful tradition we have here in New Jersey. And I know the staff is excited about these new guys and getting to work with them. I think the guys who are in the locker room still are really excited to welcome them to the group. And, we want to get off to a different start here as we re-enter the play this weekend.
Now, that isn't to say that you haven't had success, obviously, not only this year, but in the past. Over the past couple of weeks, a few NCAA commitments have started to pick up. Joe Schubert is heading to Air Force. Stephen Willey will be heading to the Army. Give me an idea of the leadership both of those guys bring to the Titans. Again, going to a service academy, it's not like going to regular college. There's no parties. There's nothing like that. You're going to go there. You're going to work hard, and you're going to play some great hockey.
Yeah, I think it's funny because we joke here all the time as a staff about how many guys we were able to send to West Point, and this year, obviously, with Joe being the first Air Force commit we've had, the coaches bust each other's chops about it all the time about how many guys we're going to send to these schools. And I've said it once and I'll say it 100 times. If we have a full team of those guys, I think it speaks volumes about our character and our integrity and what type of young men we have in the dressing room. Like you said, it's not an easy decision. It's not a decision that every kid would be confident or comfortable making. Both of those guys wanted those academies. They were high on their list. And I couldn't be more proud of them for achieving that. Obviously, there's a lot of work to be done before either one of them enters the school and plays on the hockey team. But I think it's an indication of what type of people they are, what type of character they are, and the fact that they're looking forward to different challenges both on and off the ice as they go to their respective academies. Both guys have been really good for us early on here. In different ways. Like, it's hard to come into this league and score right away as a first-year player, and they've been able to contribute some offense, but I think their game's becoming more well-rounded in terms of 200 feet and being able to play in all three zones and in every situation, 5-on-5, PK, and PP. And we're extremely proud of those guys, and hopefully for them, this is just the first step in what's going to be a really successful career with the Titans, and then obviously transferring on to West Point and the Air Force Academy.
Well, we'll move forward to this weekend. Again, last weekend, expected to go out to Western Pennsylvania to take on the Tomahawks, but as things are these days, things don't always work out the way things are scheduled. How does the team respond from the disappointment of not playing to bounce back this week to not play the Tomahawks, but at very least get on the ice and take on the Northeast Generals?
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to go back to the preparation that goes into it. And I think from the start of this process over the summer and transitioning to the early part of the year, the coaches and players all acknowledge that this wouldn't be a conventional, traditional season. We'd have to learn to adjust on the fly to different circumstances. And I think if you went into the locker room right now and asked any of the guys how they feel, I just think they're excited and honored, quite frankly, to have the opportunity to play hockey right now. Practice, obviously, games they love to be part of. But I don't think for them it really matters who we're playing, where we're playing, or what conditions we're going to be playing under. They're just excited to get the opportunity to play hockey, continue to grow and develop on the ice, obviously pursue their dreams of college hockey. So I think the opponent becomes somewhat irrelevant in terms of their day-to-day activities. Obviously, for coaches, we just changed it up in terms of our pre-scout and our matchups and what we're trying to achieve tactically versus, each individual opponent. But same thing for us. Like we're not very different from the players. We're excited. We want to get back to coaching and get back on the saddle here. We're not happy with where we stand right now in the standings, and there's only one way to get better, and that's to play the hockey games for better or worse. And we know we're not over the hump at all. We're going to make mistakes. We got to learn. We got to grow as a hockey team here. And obviously the next opponent becomes the Northeast Generals here. So excited to welcome those guys to Middletown and open up a very big, early but big series for us this weekend.
So that is Friday at 7:30, Saturday at 7 o'clock, Middletown Sports Complex. And we'll go on the air about 10 minutes before each game for the pregame show on Hockey TV. Head coach, general manager Craig Doremus, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks again, Tommy. I appreciate it.
All right, take care.
You too, pal.